Hey everybody, happy holidays to you. Charlie Chitwood here, joined with Jim Curry, and man, there's just always so much to talk about in Lion athletics, especially with this move into Division One. You've had a very busy first 4 months of work, at least in the
It's
school
been eight
year.
now, right? It's been
Yeah,
eight
yeah,
now,
yeah. You
yeah,
started
which is hard to
before
believe.
class. That's
Time
good.
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Right? Time flies when you're having fun.
So, what do you think of Northeast Texas?
I'll tell you,
it's
it's
a
been
little
great.
different from Florida.
It's been great. I think if there's two words that I would use to describe the first 8 months, it's probably growth and gratitude. There's been a tremendous amount of growth. We're seeing it in so many different ways, particularly in the response from the fan base. When we look at just some of our metrics and our fundamentals, the number of donors are up. Our corporate sponsorships are up. Our fundraising totals, when we look at our fundraising totals year over after the first quarter of the fiscal year this year compared to last year, up 123%. So we're seeing so much growth in so many different areas. And so I think it says a lot. I think it says a lot about the support that we get from the supporters of A&M Commerce Athletics. It says a lot about our fans and the community. But I think it also says a lot about the trajectory of the university and where we're going, and how people are really buying into this Division I experience. It's hard to believe we're only 18 months into it, 3 semesters really, but it's been a memorable 3 semesters for sure, and certainly an indelible one. But I also mentioned grateful. Grateful for that support that we're seeing, grateful for the turnout. Even our attendance figures alone, our attendance was up about 39% for football compared to last year. We're seeing the same thing with respect to basketball. Excited to see what's going to happen with softball, now 37 home games coming up this spring. So part of that too is not just growth in terms of embracing this Division I experience and what we're doing, this model, but also how can we use that platform to grow the university and also grow the community as well. Because anytime we bring more to commerce, it's better for everybody. So whether that's games, contests, notoriety, exposure, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we've got a number of things we can point to in that regard. But like I said, just grateful for everybody embracing and leaning into this experience.
So coming in, you've got all of this transitioning to work with. Then all the games begin. It's kind of like whack-a-mole for you for a while, isn't it? But they're slowing down when they're pop-ups.
Yeah, it was. I always tell people, you've got this 100-day plan that you create before you get the job. Well, you can just take that plan and you can crumble it in a ball and throw it right in the trash, because it's very much a little bit of, as they say, the Mike Tyson quote, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Well, get on the ground and the bullets start flying, right? And so, I think our first thing was really just trying to respond to some of the needs in the health and performance space for our student athletes, and we did that so well. We brought in great leadership with Brian White. He built a great team around him, and then also advanced that health and performance unit through a new partnership with Hunt Regional Healthcare. We did an RFQ for a new medical director after our previous medical director made the decision to step aside, and brought them in the late summer. And that's just been a complete game changer for us in the health of our student athletes and the service and care we provide for them. So excited to see how that partnership can grow in the future. There's a number of exciting things in that regard that we'll see as we turn into 2024 that I'm excited to share. But they've been great partners in providing care for our student athletes. So that was kind of first and foremost. And then we needed to take some time to really assess what we were doing in terms of the external side of the house, the external affairs. So donor engagement, external strategy, corporate partnerships, ticket sales. And so we added to our team in that space with McCade Peterson and Josiah Castro this past fall. And they've hit the ground running. If anybody's been to a game, you've probably run into one or both of those folks. But added to a great team that was already in place. Avi, Mirage, Steve Shack, Haven. We had great people, but we knew we could add more and elevate what we were doing there, and we're seeing the early returns on that for sure.
How much growth do you think is realistic for the coaching staffs? Are they going to catch all the way up with a Power 5 type staff, or are we going to be more mid-major and hovering in that range?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because as we look at growth generally, we see tremendous growth in those the incremental growth in the expenses associated with the Division I experience, right? I was kind of going back and looking through it the other day. In 2017, when we won the national championship in football, that year we spent about $2.3 million on scholarship. Our scholarship obligation this year is $4.2 million. And the cost of tuition hasn't really risen that much in that period of time. It's just the obligation and the commitments that we're making to our student athletes and our teams to support the experience. But that's where additional support, additional investment from the fan base is critical as we look to grow further, because as we know, scholarship is really one of those areas that is the most impactful for the student and incredibly impactful in terms of performance on the respective playing surfaces as well. So we're going to spend as we get into the new year, we're going to spend a little bit of time maybe rethinking about how we focus our energies on the LCF and maybe focus some of that energy back on that scholarship obligation, because that 4.2 is real, but we also know that it's the most impactful investment that we can make, both in, like I said, in terms of performance and our student athlete experience, and so we've got to do more to invest there as well. And so you'll see some things as we get into the new year as we put a renewed focus on that. We touched on it a little bit before, but the response has been great, and just just in terms of the number of donors that we've got now in LCF, that number alone has doubled from this time last year, and we're still early in the fiscal year as well. We're a September 1 fiscal year, so we measure things a little bit differently in that regard than most. But when we look at year over numbers, we're in a much better position than we were, but we still have a lot of room to grow too, right? When I got here, we were measuring where we were relative to our Southland peers, and candidly, we were in the bottom half in terms of our investment from our fan base in the program. That's grown. There's no doubt about it, but we've got some room to grow as well. I told our folks we've got so many comparative advantages here at A&M Commerce, particularly with our recruiting footprint. I was saying to the president, 7 of the 8, state champs in Texas in football are within a 4-hour radius of Commerce, right? And so many comparative advantages that we don't have to be number one in the Southland in this, but if we're just in the middle of the pack, we're going to be a real force in the Southland. If we actually get towards the top of the Southland in terms of the investment that we're making into this student athlete experience and these programs, we'll be a force nationally. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And so that's really where the focus, and I think the continued emphasis on growth. Now, let's understand, right? Growth's a little uncomfortable at times. It is. That's kind of part of it, right? But at the same time, too, like we talk about with our teams, anything that's worth achieving or that we're looking to try to achieve didn't come easily, right? And so adversity is going to be there for us along the way. How we respond to that adversity, how we handle it, and how we embrace the growth and the mindset and the attitude of our work every day, and how we embrace this entire experience is critical for our success.
Hey guys, we're going to stop all this conversation here, but there's 2 more parts that you can go to. So hang on, and we'll be back. Thanks for tuning in.